Alright, so as a business owner for like over a year, I've obviously dealt with frustrated customers before. But they've had reasons to be frustrated, and at the end of the day, we made it right and they ended up happy. This is a crazy one. I had an angry lead today, right? This guy has not given me any money or nothing. Just looking into it and came in fucking fired up. And oh my god, was I ready to crack. I was ready to throw my phone out the window multiple times, but I kept my composure, and that's what we're talking about today. So this is unreal. Like, I cannot believe that this guy acted this way after he fell out of form for me to reach out to him expressing interest in our service. So for those of you that don't know what I do, who I am, I own a hockey media business. So we offer like photography, videography, etc. And I'm running ads right now, and the ad copy kind of talks about how what we do is a better alternative to LiveBarn, which for those of you who don't know what LiveBarn is, it's like a video streaming service that they have at hockey rinks. It's terrible. It's got very bad quality. It varies a lot from rink to rink, yada yada yada, right? So kind of like the value proposition in the ad and like the hook and all that kind of stuff is like how LiveBarn sucks and how we're better, right? So this guy reaches out, and I hit him with the usual like, hey, this is Jack from Puck Pro Media. How can I help you? Yada yada yada, right? And he's like, what are the prices? Which is like a pretty common first question to ask. So I normally kind of steer the conversation in like my direction. I'm like, well, what do you need? Like, take back the frame of control and shit, just typical stuff. And this guy was like, I want it all. Just send me all the descriptions. I'm like, whatever, dude. Because I normally am like, we have a decent amount of services. I can't really just like, I don't want to blow you up. So I send him the descriptions. And he's like, is that for a game? That's fucking mental. I'm like, okay. And this is where it gets good, right? Because then I kind of explained that, like, it's really not that much when you have multiple teammates chipping in and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, it's still a lot. And I'm like, okay, sorry. Unfortunately, we won't be able to help you out then. Have a good weekend. And you'd think that it would end there, right? I wish it would end there because I wouldn't have spent 30 minutes talking to this fella. I shouldn't have spent 30 minutes talking to this lovely gentleman. We'll put it a little fancy editing there. And he's like, he responds to that. He's like, so what's so different about you and why don't you try to explain to me what's so different? I'm like, okay, like, I guess. I mean, so I asked him, like, are you like familiar with the brand at all? Like, have you seen any of our work? There's a extremely clear quality discrepancy. And we have to pay people to go film the games, so it's kind of different than a automated little camera that's already placed in and you pay subscription, right? Like, we have real people, so it's personalized. And I'm saying all these things like extremely nice and friendly and keeping my composure, kind of just explaining like it was a regular thing. But then whatever, right? Like, I'm explaining the service, and he's like, oh, okay, it's not even really a money issue. I just don't see the difference between this and LiveBarn. And I'm like, okay, gotcha. So what made you kind of want to look into this then if you didn't see a difference? Because kind of the whole fucking point of the ad is that there is a difference. I'm getting fired. See, I'm releasing the energy that I wanted to so badly release onto this lovely guy in the text message. I'm now, after keeping a professional composure, I'm coming on here and really chopping it up, right? So it's obviously money's not an issue. I'm just complaining and saying your prices are ludicrous. Like, you can already tell you're kind of dealing with an asshole when after you send the prices, they say, that's fucking mental. I should have just not even answered that, really. But this guy clearly wanted to have some fun and frustrate me, so he continued to text me, obviously. Like, he could have just ghosted me, right? Like, that would have been cool. That's what most people do when they're like, oh, I can't pay for this. But then he goes on to say that he doesn't even see a difference, and he can totally afford it, but he just doesn't even see a difference, right? So then I ask him, I'm like, so if you didn't see a difference, like, why did you look into this? And he said to see if it was cheaper. So I really wish I had this guy on the phone, because this could have been the best sales practice of my life, right? I could have been like, to see if it was cheaper, why would you, just curious, why would you think it was cheaper when there's an actual person going out to the game and the quality is clearly better? Like, you weren't looking for something cheaper. Like, be honest, bro. God, right? So then I'm kind of explaining more, and then I'm explaining the different reasons people do use us instead of Live Barn. And I'm saying how, like, you know, some people want better footage to get recruited. So then this guy starts, you know, just disagreeing and saying nobody does that. I'm like, okay, so you filled out my form. You showed interest in our service. And now you're telling me that no one wants my service. Like, you're trying to tell me what the demand is on my service, which does actually have demand. Like, this was mind-blowing. This was a mind-blowing experience today. I'm so proud of myself for keeping myself calm and composed. And I'm kind of glad that I wasn't on the phone with this guy, because I would have had less time to think about what I was saying. And there's a high chance I would have snapped, because I'm snapping right now just even thinking about it. It's kind of really funny. And he's like, yeah, I'm a AAA. I was a AAA and junior coach. Coaches don't even look at that stuff. I'm like, okay, well, people kind of pay us to do that for coaches to look at it. And, like, I said that in, like, a nice, just explaining it kind of way. Like, people do think that it helps, and we kind of have, you know, yada, 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 yada. And he's like, sounds like a scam to me. And at this point, I'm ready to throw my phone out the window. I'm, like, ready to explode. And I was like, sorry to hear you think that. Like, I guess I'm not explaining our service in the best way. We're not guaranteeing to get anyone recruited. Like, in simple terms, we're just a photography and videography business, yada, yada, yada. And he's like, all right, well, I'm not interested. I'm like, bro, you said you weren't interested 20 minutes ago. And I was just like, sorry to waste your time. Have a good weekend, bro. And I just ended the conversation like that. But I guess I'm making this video, like, it wasn't just to tell the story. Like, it was kind of a funny story, and I'm kind of still fired up about it, like, ready to run through a wall and shit. But, like, I could have very easily taken a less professional route and went off on this guy and said a bunch of terrible things and yada, 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 right? But what would that do for my reputation? Like, you have to think logically and not emotionally, which was, believe me, so challenging, because this guy was driving me bonkers. Like, you know, I feel like one of those little, like, cartoon characters, like, steam coming out of their head when I was texting this guy. But, like, if I were to kind of snap at him, like, what if he screenshots that and sends it to people or posts on social media? Be like, yeah, this is how the guy from Pug Pro Media treated, with no context. And that's how it's like, you know, that's how people get canceled. People get canceled with no context. You don't really see what's happening around it. You just get this one portion of something they said or something they wrote or something they liked, etc. And that ruins their reputation. And as much as I wanted to, because, like, this isn't even a customer, right? When it's a customer, you know, they're normally more reasonable. Like, I've never really had an angry customer because, first of all, we do a good job. New video on that coming out soon about customer service and how it's the most important thing for a small business. We'll talk about that another time. But we don't, you know, we do a good job, and then we treat our customers well, too. Like, if there's a mistake, we'll give them a full refund and stuff like that. And, like, I'll personally, like, take the loss to make them happy. And that's not really an issue, right? But I was just astonished by the fact that, like, a lead, it was almost like he filled out that form like he was in a bad mood today, ready to piss someone off. Like, I could just tell by the way he was texting me. Like, he wanted to ruffle my feathers, and you just can't do that. Like, if you get in a scenario like that, it's I mean, like, face to face would probably be, like, more acceptable, but still, especially text, bro. If they screenshot that, or, you know, like, that's there forever, and they can just go shit on you and end you. So it's like, why would you? It's not worth risking your reputation to, like, get at someone. Like, that's a childish thing to do, and I think a lot of people would do that. Be like, all right, like, fuck you, bro, like, stop, or, you know, you can't do that. You got to treat everyone with the same amount of respect and dignity, and like you would treat a happy lead. Like, I had to treat this guy who was clearly, like, something else, and I had to treat him like he was just a happy lead that was asking questions. I was just answering his questions like a happy old me, right? Yeah. Friday, baby. Oh, yeah. But that's what I went through today, and that was not a lot of fun. But I kept my composure, and if you get into a similar scenario, just think before you act, and just, you know, this is a reality now because we are getting such a high inflow of leads relative to what we've got in the past, and I'm gonna have to deal with some people that kind of just suck, you know. Friday lesson, baby. Friday lesson.